like to introduce our next speaker that I am obviously ready for. I'd like to introduce Craig Roll, Marine Corps veteran. The name of his business is Coastal Building Inspections and Engineering. In 1979, at age 17, Craig enlisted in the Marine Corps. He spent 12 years, active and reserve, as a U.S. Marine Corps Amtracker. In 1996, Craig acquired a small engineering and inspection company called Coastal Building Inspections and Engineering. As the new owner and a certified inspector, Craig grew the small company's revenue from $150,000 a year to over $1.3 million a year. I almost gave you an upgrade, Craig. 13 million. 1.3 million a year. Craig oversees the daily operations of CBI with his chief engineer, operations manager, and 15 other employees who are all experts in their fields. Craig has been active in the Greater Houston Building Association for 26 years and teaches windstorm and construction classes to builders and contractors. Please welcome Craig Roll.
Well, you know, only a little bit of that was probably true. You know, it's kind of like some of you guys' profiles on websites, dating websites. Mr. Blum here, you're a multi-millionaire on that side. Anyway, my name is Craig Roll, United States Marine Corps, 12 years active and reserve time. And regardless of what you've heard, I have never eaten a Crayola in my life. I don't know, it must have been some Navy guy that came up with that. Whenever we were on those ships, those Navy guys, oh boy, I met some of them tonight, and they used to just torment us. But we didn't know that they were messing with us because we were just so happy to be someplace that was dry. But they ate good, and we got along, but we got them back when we left the ship because we didn't leave anything on board that wasn't tied down. So we would definitely get by. Anyway, coming out here tonight, I grew up probably about 4 miles from this place. I didn't even know where this was going to be. This was the place where the same building, it kind of astonished me when I came in. This is the same building where I learned how to shoot a rifle. And we were downstairs in one of the rooms, and it was just an air rifle, but it was I guess we were probably 12 years old or so with some of the old veterans up here. They would let us shoot the rifle in the room and learn how the proper techniques of firing a gun. So that was real. And then, like I said, my high school down the street, Spring Branch High School, 1979 is when I graduated. And just coming over here and just seeing this place, I mean, it really has changed quite a bit since I've been out here. So it was a nice kind of circle of my life coming back to where it all started. I was 17 years old and lived in my big brother's footsteps. He was a big football player, big scholarship athlete, got a scholarship to major college. I was 3 years behind him and was always Brad's little brother. Well, I wanted to change that. I was a wild little fart. You know, I was, one of those kids in high school that you couldn't tell him anything. And I knew that I was just going the wrong direction. So I said, what am I going to do? Well, I was watching, I can't remember which movie it was, but it was one of those Marine movies. And man, I liked their uniform so much, I said, I want one of those. Because you got to admit, the Marines have some pretty nice uniforms. So I went down, talked to the recruiter. I was a senior in high school, just turned 17, talked to the recruiter. He goes, yeah, we definitely would like it. What would you like to do there? Well, I told him, I'd like to have some kind of career when I come out. I'd like to learn how to do, combat engineering. I'd like to learn how to drive bulldozers and cranes and backhoes, so I can get a job when I come out. He said, hey, no problem. Well, needless to say, they stuck me in an Amtrak. Now, that is a 24-ton vehicle, but there's not a lot of openings in the civilian world for driving an Amtrak down the main street. So you got to kind of watch those recruiters. They may tell you a couple of things that aren't quite right. anyhow, I went home, I said, Mom, Dad, I said, y'all need to follow me back up to the recruiter's office. My mom said, what are you talking about, son? I said, I joined the Marines, but I'm 17, you'll have to sign me up. Oh, man, she just goes crazy in the kitchen. Starts crying and crying, oh, no, that's my baby, don't go. And my dad, I turned to look at him, he was already in the car, had it started, and was honking the horn. So after high school, went in the Marines, did a time over in San Diego, MCRD San Diego, Hollywood Marine. Then we got called back up, did my active time. Then I started my reserve time down in Galveston. And Galveston has an Amtrak base down there. A little small one, but we had about 13 Amtraks down there. So after we got down there, I started building houses. Now, building houses, I was a superintendent for a home builder here in Houston. They're no longer here. KB Homes bought them out, but I started with them as a superintendent. I didn't know the first thing about building. A friend of mine said, come on, you'd be good at this. Well, all that is it was almost like being a manager. You're not actually hitting the nails or anything like that. You're coordinating the construction, or in the military, you have a mission. Your mission is to build this house, and you do whatever you can to get that house completed. So it really kind of fell into my realm of thinking. And since we had, the Marines do have a good non-commissioned officers program, NCOs, and we teach the NCOs how to lead. And I just took those same principles from the Marine Corps, used them in this job, and it just, it was a glove, it just fit perfect. So I continued on with that, still in the Marine Reserves, and then all of a sudden one day, we get a call that says, hey, I'll be inactivated. So there comes Desert Storm. So we were over there at Desert Storm for about 9 months. You can guess where we were with the Amtraks. It's got to be the nastiest place that you could put us with the Amtraks in front. So we were up there on the front line watching, actually pretty safe, because nobody would hit us in the front line. They hit everybody back in the ports. But we made it through Desert Storm okay. Everything was fine. Come back out. 2 weeks left to come home, and I blow my knee out of there. So I came home and played with a big old fat knee, had to get it operated on twice. And wish I had a good story about that. Wish I could say, oh, hey, bullet hit it, got a piece of shrapnel in it, stepped on a Vietnam pooping stick or whatever you call those. But it wasn't quite anything like that. It was a volleyball game. So the guys put me on the stretcher, and I don't know if y'all, I guess all branches mess with each other. So they had me on the stretcher, pulling me away, and my knee was nasty. And they were doing that fire engine thing, just well, that was fine, because I couldn't walk, but they kept dumping me out about every 10 feet. So we finally got in and out of that. When I came back to my job, about a year later, they had to rehab my knee, and then they let me off of active duty. Came back to the job, and things were just different. The things, when you enter into a combat zone, a combat field, maybe even experience of combat, you look at things a lot different. You come back to the civilian world, and you're more appreciative of what we have. The things that we take so for granted, day in, day out things. And most of the people, including myself, in the way that let's say past 4 years with America has gone, and the division that has been here, it really hurts my heart, because you see a lot of us veterans here, we love our country. We want to make our country better and better. And when we see these sides, I'm not saying one side's better than the other. It's a difference of opinion. But think deep. When you don't have to agree with the guy next to you. But remember, we live in a great place, a great country, that we have the opportunity to have difference of opinions. And when we have those difference of opinions, we can express them. Yeah, you're going to piss somebody off. We've all been mad. But We're not gonna go to jail, usually, unless you had too many beers. But, you know where I'm coming from with this. I mean, America is a great place. And just something real quick, when I get off of this, when we flew home from, we went from Kuwait back to Saudi Arabia. We flew from Saudi Arabia to Belgium, then from Belgium to Bangor, Maine. And we were all just on it. There was 495 Marines on this plane. And we were coming back and just worn out. You know, we've been sleeping outside, you know, in the field to get on a bigger house, another bigger home, you know, for 9 months. So we were real excited about getting home. And we're coming home, and all of a sudden, I guess, I don't know how many hours it was, the captain comes over the microphone. And the captain says, congratulations, Marines, you're now in American airspace. And even right now, I mean, I kind of, you know, get a little choked up. And it just a big roar came over the whole plane. It was amazing. And I was a staff sergeant with a big knee, and Gunny was sitting next to me on the plane, and I had my head down, and I started to cry. And I didn't want to raise my head up because, you know, Marines, you know, are Marines don't cry. Oh man, I had my head down. I saw the staff, the Gunny's hand come across. I reached over there and grabbed his hand, and he said, congratulations, Staff Sergeant, we made it. And when I looked up at him, the Gunny was crying. Then I looked around the plane, and 495 Marines, all warriors, all battle tested, every one of us was crying. And that's what I said, I will do anything that I can to better myself, better every place I go to, and better every person that I encounter, more so than I ever thought possible. So what I encourage y'all to do is, when you hear these other people knocking down America, knocking down the presidents, you know, knocking down, you know, whatever they can, because it's easier to hate than to love. It's easier to tell somebody something's wrong than to tell them something's right. So that is part of the reason why my business has been successful, is because when I go out to places, I want to make that place better than it was before I got there. I want to give my customers more than what they thought they were going to get for what I charged them. And if you can keep that little thing in your mind, then I think you will be very successful. And you'll be proud to live here in America. And God bless y'all, and God bless the veterans.